Donald Trump is moving to unilaterally rewrite election rules ahead of the midterms, according to brand new reporting from MS Now's Vaughn Hilliard and Jake Traylor. A senior White House official tells MS Now that Trump has directed the White House counsel to explore an executive order requiring proof of citizenship to register to vote, as well as photo ID at polling places nationwide. This despite his own lawyers warning such a move could face legal challenges. Meanwhile, the Washington Post also reports pro-Trump activists are circulating a draft executive order claiming China interfered in the 2020 election as a basis to declare a national emergency and expand presidential control over voting in 2026. Joining us now, Maine Secretary of State Shenna Bellows. She is running for governor. And our own colleague, Vaughn Hilliard, MS Now senior White House correspondent.
Madam Secretary, I think this is excellent reporting by Vaughn and our colleagues. I think this is a terrible development, though. It's important to note that Article 1, Section 4 of the Constitution gives Congress and the states, not the president, control over our elections. The president does not have any constitutional role in that. Knowing that, they are still, and by they I mean the president and his allies, are working to try to circumvent this because they are trying to affect what happens in this upcoming election, and I would argue in 2028. My question to you is, what are the secretaries of states, if anything, what can they do about this? Because the election deniers are not just at the gate at this point. The election deniers are literally embedded inside the federal government all the way up to the President of the United States of America, because he still claims that he won the 2020 election.
The secretaries of state are going to stand up and fight back because, just like you said, the Constitution says that it's the states, not the federal government, that are in charge of our elections. The president doesn't get to do this just because he wants to. And in some ways, it's like Groundhog Day. Remember, there was that executive order in the spring. It was unconstitutional then. This one will also be unconstitutional, and we'll see him in court.
Okay, so, Vaughn, we are 7 months out from midterms. SAVE Act is dead. What does the president do next?
This is where this executive order comes into play. This is at the top of the president's mind. Listen to the State of the Union address. He said the only way they win is if they cheat. This is for the president an issue that he does not let go of here. In having Republicans and people like Lisa Murkowski coming out and saying that she was not going to back the SAVE Act, that is not good enough for Donald Trump. And this is where you see the White House, the council, looking at preparing this potential executive order for him to sign that will essentially try to do the requirement of the proof of citizenship to register to vote and the requirement that every individual has to show a proof of identification at the polls this November. You know, you could make the case that this is sort of an actual more like tempered executive order outside of what the president could potentially seek to do if you were to even try to go and seek and call for a national state of emergency, right? Potentially try to send federal agents to voting locations, potentially try to seize machines. There's a lot of things that some of his outside allies would like him to do. But what we are being told here in our reporting is that as much as the White House would like him to focus on the midterm election strategy of focusing on the economy, for Donald Trump, he continues to come back to this issue here, and it is not clear 7 months out just how far he may seek to go, despite the legal questions and roadblocks in his way.
Madam Secretary, I want to quote you, if you will, for a moment, because I think you put your finger on at least from a feeling you had in the conversation with that the state elections chiefs had regarding the participation of ICE at our voting booths locations this November. You noted, it was noted in the press, Maine Secretary of State Shenna Bellows, a Democrat, left the call with more questions than answers. She said federal officials declined to answer specific questions about the SAVE Act and would not publicly affirm that states, not the federal government, hold constitutional authority over elections. So take your feeling, because I know you not just the feeling, but what you heard. And you now juxtapose oppose it against what we are hearing today, that there's a cabal of, election deniers working for Donald Trump to put in place an executive order that basically strips away the rights you have and the responsibilities you have as a state official charged with guarding and protecting and executing elections in your state. That they're going to now come in and do it anyway. Because here's the deal. I don't care what you heard on the call. You know what? To be honest, it doesn't matter what these people are saying. Because come this November, stuff will just happen. This will be, we're going to do it and beg for forgiveness later. We're doing all this pretending now that we're going to sort of talk this extreme administration off the voting cliff and restore it to normalcy. And I got the impression in reading that story that you were like, you know what, this is a load of crap. These folks are not going to be about the business of respecting my responsibilities as a state election official. Am I far off the mark here?
Well, the last question that I asked them was, would they publicly recognize state sovereignty over the elections? And there was a stunned silence. This is not a hard question. Any fourth grader studying civics knows that the Constitution places the states in charge. And so then you put that on top of this executive order, but the president doesn't get to decide. Now, they're terrified. They're absolutely terrified. They know what they're doing is deeply unpopular, and they're going to get crushed in November. And that's why he's so desperate to try to exert control over the elections. And it's not going to work. Because here's the thing. Election officials are the world's best contingency planners. We're making plans. The states are going to share threat information. They're going to do scenario planning, tabletop the votes, coordinate amongst ourselves without the federal government, because the federal government is showing itself to be an adversary in all of this.
Can I, a real quick question? I know Simone wants to come in. Are Republican secretaries of states making those same contingency plans, or are they all in with the federal takeover of our elections?
I don't think Republican states want any part of this. Now, there's some that are in races and they want to kiss the ring of the president. But I think there are a lot of Republican states, a lot of Republican secretaries. The Republican Party has, better than most, the Republican Party has always been the party of states' rights and the Constitution, at least ostensibly until this administration. And so I think that there are some deep concerns there, too. The political incentives make some of them cowards.